Well, folks, our long national nightmare is finally over. Yes, after months of negotiations, brinksmanship, and tactical maneuvering, both sides finally came together and forged a grand compromise that averted what surely would have been a devastating crisis. And as a result, the NFL season will start on time, and preseason games are on track to begin next month. Unfortunately, there's still no deal out of Washington to raise the debt limit, cut spending, and avoid what would likely be a very severe fiscal crisis when the government runs out of money to pay its bills and has to prioritize certain things. So, first off, if any of you had made a bet that the greedy NFL team owners and spoiled brat players union would reach an agreement before Republicans and Democrats in Washington, then you ought to be feeling pretty good about yourself right now. But on a more serious note, I haven't really posted anything, well, at least not a video, about this whole debt ceiling, debt limit thing, and I thought I could just avoid doing a video for this and continue posting stuff on my blog, which I have. There's a URL right there. Go there. But, well, I hadn't posted a video in a while, nearly 3 weeks, and since I'm going under the knife tomorrow, I definitely won't be posting anything the rest of this week. So, what to do? Well, aside from writing, you've probably noticed by now that I haven't really gotten the hang of this video thing, so it seemed like I can't really offer much in the way of an entertaining YouTube video, or can I? I started by talking to some of the people in my life about this whole debt ceiling debacle. Debate? Yeah, whatever, just watch. Val, are you concerned about the dire consequences that people are saying might result if Congress doesn't raise the debt limit in time?
Not at all.
Okay. Corbin, do you know what the debt ceiling is?
No.
All right.
Who doesn't give a damn about the debt ceiling? Who doesn't give a damn about the debt ceiling? You don't. Rancer? You don't, do you?
Okay. What the hell was that? That's not good. Ugh. All right, look. Here's the thing. This debt ceiling showdown is going to end up much like the battle over funding the government, passing a budget to get us through the rest of the fiscal year, like that we saw earlier this spring. It's going to come down to the wire, and we're going to come up with a less than adequate last-minute deal. And, let's see. Hey, sorry about that. I just got a phone call from Roger Williams, and it totally screwed up the video. But it was perhaps good, because I really need to get to the point quicker. Alright, a few things in this debt ceiling debate that aren't really being said in our national discourse, or that at least I don't think have been really, I haven't heard them argue. First is, aside from the policy arguments to be made, which is normally what I focus on, someone really ought to be emphasizing how cynical it is on President Obama's part to request the largest ever debt ceiling increase in U.S. history simply because he doesn't want to have to raise it again before the next election. This $2.6 trillion number is deliberately designed to get him to the end of his first term. Pretty cynical on his part. Second, this whole discussion about a balanced approach, the idea that, it should include some combination of tax increases and spending cuts. And people have different words they like to say, not tax increases, but revenue enhancements, or just revenues. spending cuts. Are they actual cuts? Are they reductions in spending? Or are we just talking about slowing the growth of future spending? But the point I want to make is this, and Republicans really ought to be making this argument, that any deal that stops short of closing the budget gap really will undercount the effective tax increases on the American taxpayers, not the public, but the taxpayers. And I say that because of this. Let's say we were projected to run $10 trillion worth of deficits over the next decade. And they came up with a deal to raise the debt ceiling and reduce those deficits, cut spending by $4 trillion, and also increase revenues above the projected amount by $1 trillion. By whatever means they did that. And let's say that that worked. All the projections were accurate, even though they never are. Instead of running $10 trillion worth of deficits, we ran $5 trillion worth of deficits over the next 10 years. So that would be billed as a 4-to-1 approach. $4 trillion in spending cuts to $1 trillion in tax increases. But in actuality, it would be $6 trillion worth of tax increases compared to $4 trillion in spending cuts. And I say that because of this. That $5 trillion shortfall that we just added to the debt, $5 trillion more added to the debt plus the interest payments, that is tantamount to a tax increase down the road, because you pay off your debt with money you get from revenues, from taxes. Well, we're not going to just print $5 trillion just to pay off our debt. That debt can only be paid off with money the government gets from taxing people. And so when we have a budget surplus and we have money to actually pay down the debt, then, what does that mean when you have a budget surplus? It means you are overtaxing your base. Kind of a convoluted argument. I'm sure that if someone who has a larger audience than I do made that argument to the national audience, then I'm sure a bunch of economists and business experts and financial analysts would have some things to say about that, but I really think that's something they ought to be saying. Finally, has anyone noticed that my hair seems to be getting lighter? I don't know. A lot of people have been mentioning it. When I was a kid, it was bright blonde, and then it gradually got darker, and now I think it's starting to turn red a little bit. Oh, but that's neither here nor there. Well, I've got to go. Wish me luck tomorrow, everybody. And until next time, don't mess with the right-wing genius.